all dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. You must have heard the long old slogan that there is little bit of steel in everybody's life. And today I'll say there is definitely your digitization in making of steel. So we have reached that stage that when we talk of digitization, it is not only to bring in the efficiency in the production, but also the world competitiveness into the way we produce steel in this country. While we are working on it, automation has become a part of every production cycle in terms of control of the temperature, in terms of control of the sizing of the product, in terms of control of the way the product is made and the end product it is reaching. But now the digitization has been linked to finances, what I was discussing with the secretary of the company secretary's firm and the organization, that now we have linked it to the financial steps. That if you miss out in your automation at one step, or if you go wrong, how much of your money is blown into fumes. And that is very important, because every step you go wrong, it is money. Every step you work upon, it is money. You're working on digitization. Now the time has come where your GIS has to work in close quarter with the mines on how much of thing is extracted. Then also link it to the transportation data as to how much the railway is transporting it, where your raw material is lying, whether it's at the ports when you're importing, or whether it is at the transport edge, where it is reaching your time. What are you producing? At the end of it is market. Now in steel sector, we have complete auction process of the mines, as well as the auction of the products, the purchase of what is made through the e-platform, what we call e-auction, e-mandi, which is monitored by Metal Scrap Trading Corporation, MSTC, one of the PSUs. And another one is Metal Junction, which is done by Tata and SAIL together. Now you can look at it that how digitization has made the whole difference in which a mechanical work of manufacturing steel, the digitization contributes to its better management principles in the production itself, in the better management principles of managing its raw material, in better management principles of how the end produce is being marketed in the produce, and how they are catering to the feedback that they are getting from the market. The exports which are going from India or the imports we are getting, that also, if it is linked to this data, it will also enable us to go a long way for the import replacement, and that is exactly what the ministry is trying to do at this moment of time. When you talk of digitization, it is not just the HR issues in a company, it is not just the databases which are maintained in a company, but it's something you have to imbibe if you want to be successful, if you want to be a long player into it. You'll be amazed to know that 57% of the steel in this country is made by secondary sector, the MSME. And that is what is going to make the whole difference, that they have to be exposed to the digital monitoring technology. And that is where a market lies for each one of you, as to how you can approach them, create for them, and they will continue to be 57% when steel manufacturing becomes threefold by 2030. So their contribution is bound to be 57% of the steel which is made in this country. That is where you have to handhold them, train them into how they are working into the whole sector, their quality management, because that is where the Ministry of Steel is going to be more and more stringent as you go ahead with it. We are also encouraging to the consumption of steel. So all designing of your bridges, buildings, everything, which is going to be more and more and more of steel as you are going to go ahead in life and ahead in years. All that precise monitoring will be digitized, starting from design to that. The structural engineers, the contractors, their management, comparative cost of alternative material, all this has to come through fingertips, through your digitization. And all this data is available. What it needs is a good software to link them, to have an easy access for them as we are moving ahead. Having said that, in steel sector we went for the demonetization, also had an impact. And what amazing thought was that the whole steel sector shifted to cashless at the higher ends. That is, the steel manufacturers went 100% cashless. What little cash transaction they were doing, they did away with it. The dealers at the end, they were dealing with cash. But the dealers, when they shifted to cashless, 15 days they were very uncomfortable because their business model was based on not being fair in their accounting. So that was the first hit because that is where they had designed their business model, that they are not going to account for the duties mandatory duties which they have to pay, account for the power which they are going to use, account for the cost of power that by equation they should have used, consumed and paid for. So there was a little hit for 15 days. But when they realized that this is going to be the way they have to work in future, they immediately adopted the mechanism. And that has been a big gain because that whole thing has been brought into a transparent method of doing business, doing manufacturing and dealing with the steel sales. They have immediately shifted. And the gains were in terms of course, maybe a better utilization of manpower because the number of accountants they needed reduced by 1/5. The number of security guards needed to carry the cash came down to 0. So all that had a very interesting impact when we moved into this kind of a regime when we are going ahead. We are very happy that the POS machine reduction is coming, as Dr. Taneja said, but then the adoption is slow because all integrated steel plants, whether private or public, we have huge colonies. And one of the targets is to make those colonies less cash. So the industry becomes cashless, but the colonies becomes less cash. And with that kind of a target, yes, the progress is slow because of the way the whole thing is moving, but then it is targeted and it will be achieved as we move ahead. So if you look at the sector, there are many villages in which we are interested in. We do the mining, so we are in the remotest part. So those villages we are working. We do a lot of CSR activities there. And that is where we have taken a challenge to educate them how to shift to the less cash. And the results have been very, very encouraging. We are going ahead with it. It is a cost of understanding the importance of it, the safety factor of it, the bharosa, that bharosa we have to keep. That okay, this is a safe platform and this is how we can move ahead with it. So the influence of steel sector is not limited to the suppliers and the users of the steel. The influence of steel sector is also into the lives of the people who are working in the steel plants and also in the lives of the people who are adjacent to the areas, remote areas where we work in. Because traditionally we work in the remote areas. Markets may be everywhere, but penetration is one of the highest in the sector, if you can think of. The challenge which is there in the digitization is that you have to, this is where the entire manufacturing is by robotics. Your car is by robotics, your material is by robotics. So that precision has already come into the software designing, into the way it is monitored, the way it is moving. Now what is needed is linking these various pockets that we have of digitization into an aggregated one where we link the finance, we link the supply material, we link the product, and we are able to get the data of the profit and loss on the real-time basis because the competition is very high. We are competing with the global rates. The steel rates are decided based on the global forum. We had very bad years 2.5 years back, but some of the major targeted intervention by this government, we have revived it completely, and last 2 quarter results you must have seen. It is like a hockey stick curve that we are able to go up. But then to sustain it, we have to improve upon, and data is the key. The real-time data is the key, the analytics is the key. How nicely and simplified way it is projected is the key for the decision makers so that quick corrective measures are taken, the loss is limited, and we are able to progress ahead. I will congratulate governance now for bringing different sectors on the platform so that digitization or digital India, what is being talked about, is going to be in everybody's life as steel is going to be in everybody's life. Thank you so much.